Today we're doing a test on the Autopark. Now, so many of you guys asked about this in the latest video. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down all those different questions you had and see just what it is this thing can actually do. Now, when we're talking about Autopark, we're talking about not parking in a parking lot or in a stall next to two other cars or parallel parking. We're talking about getting out of your car and driving it into the garage without you in the car. So here's what we're going to cover in this video. So one of the first things we're going to do is I'm going to show you what it's like to pull it straight into the car. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this garbage can in closer because so many of you say, well, I only have a one-car garage. I don't have as much space as you. So does it work for me? So we're going to figure out what exactly the space is. We'll measure at each side and we'll figure out what that is. We'll go inside the car and we'll look at all the different options for how to set it all up so you know how to do that. And then we're going to get inside the car and we'll mount cameras all over so we can see how close it gets to different things. And then we're going to end the video trying to run over a bunch of crap. So let's get started. This video is sponsored by Tech Forum. They make the pivot mount that so many of you ask about when you see my car. It is super easy to install and takes very few tools and very little time to get it done. After mounted, the screen moves back and forth very smooth and feels very solid. It comes with an optional shroud you can wrap around it for a nice clean look. Check down below in the description for more specs. After installed, it feels more, well, personal. The screen tilts both directions if you happen to live in a place where you drive on the opposite side of the car. However, I have to warn you, if your passenger finds out they can use the big screen instead of their small screen on their phone, it can turn into quite a scrap. So that's a little bit about this amazing pivot mount by Tech Forum. If you want to know more information about this product and want to know what it's like to install this in your car, you can definitely reach out to me in the comments. And of course, check the description for how you can pick one up for your car, as well as view the videos of me installing this in mine. Now back to your video. So one of the biggest parts that you have to first get comfortable with is that how delicate are these sensors in the car? If you walked all around it, would it hit you? So before you really can have confidence in this kind of parking system, you really need to know how well the sensitivity works on these. So let's first show you this. Let's see if I can make the car hit me. All right, so here we go. So I press reverse and here comes the car. You can see it's got all the lights on. It's coming back to me. Right now, I am probably, about 10 feet behind the car. So I'm gonna stand right here and I'm not gonna move. It's kind of that corner sensor that it's gonna see. And you can see right there, it's probably a good 5 feet from me. It sees me, but it's kind of creeping slowly. It's gonna get close. How close will it get? I can hear it dinging inside the car and it's gonna stop. And there it is. So that's about, what do you think? 1.5 feet from me? So now what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go back even further, and this time I'm going to walk past the car. Okay, so let's go reverse again, get it moving. Again, I just tap it on the key fob, and this time I'm going to walk past it like someone, your kid ran out of the house or something and wanted to pass it. Let's see here. All right, so it's backing up. So when it gets about right here, I'm going to start walking right past it, and you can see it instantly stops. If I keep going, it still stops. And let's just do a test. I'm just gonna walk straight behind it. So I'm just gonna walk behind it here. So it's slowed down. You can see it slowed down right there. And then I keep going by and it's done. So it's very, very sensitive to it. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put this then into reverse. And once it starts moving, I'm gonna run into the side of the car. So it's going here. And if I walk up to it and bump it, see, it sees me there, but it's not going to stop because the sensors aren't here. One thing you can do though is if you want it to stop, you can just press like this and it will stop the car. So that's one way that you can stop the car if you need to stop it. So now we'll deal with the front sensors a little bit later, but that's just to give you a little idea just how sensitive those sensors actually are. All right, let's talk about how you set this all up. So what happens is you come in here to your settings, okay? And you come to autopilot. Now keep in mind, you need to have the full self-drive package to be able to do any of this, okay? Not the full self-drive beta. This is just the package you pay for now. It's $10,000. You go down here to customize summon. And what we're gonna be looking at here is a distance that we're okay with our car getting to things in the garage because that's the target out there. It needs to get in there into the right spot. So what you got here is you got bumper clearance. I have it set at 16 inches. If you increase it, you see the car moves down and further away. You got right now it's at 44 inches. That's way too much. That'll put me right out the back of my garage. So 16 inches is fine. 8 inches is even fine. But let's try that 16. Okay, summon distance is 40 feet, so that's saying I can summon it up. It's going to go 40 feet before it automatically stops. That is the maximum because we're going to test this today from the maximum distance. And you might as well have it always out there at the max distance because it doesn't mean you have to be at 40 feet. It just allows it to be summoned in from 40 feet.
Side clearance standard is further out if you've got a lot of space in your garage. I don't. I like it to get a little closer to things in there because it's even still not that close. So I'm going to say tight. So it's going to keep a nice ring around it. And require continuous press, I say no on that. If you put yes on that, then it's a total pain. You have to hold your finger on it. Kind of voids the whole purpose of what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to prove that. And say yes on that. It's kind of all the disclosures. And now it's going to be able to go forward or backwards and keep within these boundaries. So that's how you set up the settings. Next, let me show you how you set this whole thing up to actually move out and go into the garage. So let's say you pulled up and you're in your driveway and you'd like it to park itself because maybe you want to come out and go into a different door. Maybe you don't want to go into your garage. Maybe you just like to show off for your neighbors like me. Who knows? But for some reason, whatever, you want to actually send this to your garage without you in it. You're going to put your foot on the brake first if you haven't yet. If let's say it was in sleeping mode, it was parked, it doesn't know you're in the car. A car right now knows I'm in it, so I put my brake on it. It's not going to, change into my profile right now because it's kind of already in it. But for you, it's going to do that. Then you're going to come up here, you're going to take your foot off of the brake. Okay, and by the way, you need to be in park doing all this. Okay, so it's in park now, and you know that because it's highlighted there. I've took my foot on the brake, took my foot off of the brake, so park is on, the car knows I'm in it, okay, and then I'm going to double press park right here, 1, 2, and that's going to pop up. So now it can go forward or backwards, and it says auto park will start after you exit the car, okay, and I know there's different names for this. It says auto park on the screen, so we're just going to keep with the name on that, but there are multiple versions of auto park. It's all part of the summoning group. Okay, so I'm going to tap forward. So you tap on the arrow there. It says car will start moving after you exit and close the door. Okay, so I'm going to step out of the car now, and you will see this does this all on its own. In fact, I'm going to stay back behind it for this first one, and you guys can watch this go without me. Now, I specifically stayed in here to show you guys what happens there. This will time out. That was about 30 seconds. I did not get out of the car, and so it actually timed out, in which case you have to come in here and do it again. Okay, and here we go. Double press on the park, forward. I'm opening the door. Keeping in mind, if there's ever any issue, all I got to do is press the door handle to stop it. Okay, so you have complete control here. So there it goes. I walk away, and I'm going to stand over here to the side. I'll even tilt the little top camera. You can see me over here on the side. I'm completely away from it, and the car is going to go in by itself. And you can see there it does make a few different corrections, but it's going to go in hopefully nice and straight between the garbage can and the side of the car. And now you can see just exactly how close it got to all this. I mean, we're about 8 inches from this bucket right here, and we are exactly 16 inches. I guarantee if we measure this, it'd be about 16 inches. Here's a foot right there. My foot's about a foot, and there's probably 4 to 6 inches right there from that sensor. So very fantastic job. Personally, for me, I think we need to up this distance a little bit so we can get into our fridge and stuff a little bit better. Let's go back there and try our next challenge. All right, now for this one, we're gonna do this from 40 feet. This is the maximum distance. There's a lot of different spots this thing has to actually focus on. So here we go. Foot's on the brake. You can see it locks in my profile. I'm just gonna stop that right now. Take my foot off of the brake, double tap the park, pulls up, press forward. Don't worry, we'll try backward in a minute. And I'm gonna get out of the car, and here we go. We're watching this now from 40 feet. We've got 360 cameras pointing at it. We've got the big cameras. We've got them everywhere. So we're going to see exactly how this thing operates. And the tightest side is going to be over here by the garbage cans because it naturally pulls a little bit further away from the driver's side. So just watching it here, seeing what it's going to do. You can see the wheel there correcting itself, taking it sharp back over to the driver's side, which is great because I'd rather it pull over there. Lots of little corrections. You can see the steering wheel going constantly. And there it goes. Now I still have this set at 16 inches, so I'm hoping that it stops just perfectly and doesn't crush my, there it goes. Exact same spot as last time. Excellent. Okay, so what we're gonna do on this one is I got the car back now. Now it's only about 30 feet from being in the garage, but we're gonna see how it does backwards. I've actually never done this, so this is gonna be the first time. Once again, in the car, foot on brake, stop profile movement, double tap park. Oh, foot off brake, whoops, double tap park. This time, backwards. Get out of the car, and here it goes. This is the first time I've done this. So I'll be watching this real close. You guys got the 360 camera on the back. That's the new Insta 360 camera. If you guys want one of those things, check down my link down below. They are absolutely incredible. Allow you to get such awesome shots. All right, backing in.
Doing it at a nice speed as well. Wow. All right, car. Okay, slowing down. Good, good. And it is literally the exact same distance. That is super cool. Wow, look at that. All right, now this is the recording of the 40-foot video. I'm a little nervous about this one. We're gonna do it anyway. I tell you guys, we're digging into this as deep as I can possibly get it. So you're welcome to skip along to the video to different parts. I'll make sure that they are down in the description for you guys. But this is pretty cool. I mean, this is backing up 40 feet right into my garage. Now, we'll keep in mind there are some decent space here, and we're gonna adjust that here shortly for those of you guys who do not have this much space and figure out what the boundary actually is. So there it goes. So now it's not completely perfect. I mean, it is a little bit crooked. I would say that it's probably about half a foot tilted that way. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So next, before we flip the car back around, let's move this garbage can over. Yes, I did miss garbage day last week, in case you're wondering. And we'll see how close we can get this. Okay, before we actually start moving in the distances here, let me first show you what we are working with. 11 feet exactly. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna move it over 1 foot. Now let's see what it can do. And here we go. So we're now doing this at 10 feet. And remember, it is actually not centered. Well, it's pretty centered in what's left there. So you guys can see in the camera here as we go back and forth from different angles that it is going through there, no problem, not slowing down at all, making small corrections. So from that standpoint, the 10 feet has no issue. All right, now let's set this to 9 feet. That is getting really tight. So now what you're looking at here is a 9-foot, yes, a 9-foot garage. So a 9-foot garage is actually smaller than most people's 1-car garage. So if it can make it through this is a pretty awesome deal. So I'm standing off to the side here. I wanted to see how close firsthand it gets these cans and if it can do it. Now keep in mind, it is now not centered. So the car is, well, it's not having to make too many corrections, but it is going a lot slower. The sensors can definitely feel that. You can just see the difference in speed. And it's making small corrections, but it went past it. It definitely made it in through there. Incredible. And just like that, it does it. Now, before we adjust it again, we have to do one long distance test here because you can see that right here, I mean, I have very little room. I mean, let me pull forward here and we're gonna test this out. So watch this. Right here, I have exactly 15 inches from that side, 16 inches from that side. So it's very centered. And so let's try it long one more time, all the way down, and then we will flip it around because obviously we got to make it, stop itself. All right, so this is the 40-foot backup on a 9-foot gap test. And here we go. So we've got quite a distance. We got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 feet roughly that this thing has to keep itself in line and back up into for this to be successful. So it goes at a good pace, but when it gets close, it does slow down to read the situation a little more. There's some adjustments. I'm hearing dinging inside the car. You guys are seeing that on the internal screen there, that it's getting nervous, but it is not quitting. It is a little bit crooked coming through here. We'll have to see if it actually adjusts itself, but I'm hearing lots of noise from inside the car as it's getting way too close to the passenger side over here. So you can see that, really close. But we're gonna let it go. Is it gonna be able to fix itself? Lots of dinging going on. So look at that, it did make it. But oh my gosh. So you guys check this out, okay? So it did technically make it. So we have to give it the made it because it is parked, but take a look at how close this did get. Now I know it's hard to see in camera because the lighting is not that great right here, but it is, I would say, roughly 4 inches from the side of my food rack over on this side here. All right, now we've obviously got to make this car stop itself. We got to figure out its max. So we're gonna move it now down to 8 feet, which is gonna put it right here. We're gonna go right there. So it is more than half of my driveway now being covered. So this is a very small gap. And here we go. Now it shouldn't be able to do this in theory. I'm gonna walk behind it here because just in case I wanna be able to grab that, door handle and stop this thing. But me being back here so far watching it, it's dead centered
It's going slow, it's dinging a lot, but it's coming centered, and it's forcing it. So, oh, it didn't like something. I think that was it for it. It's just getting too close. I mean, you're about 6 inches on the left, and you're about a foot on the right. So it's just, that was the limit for backing up. Let's flip it around one time and go forward and try it. All right, and here we go. We couldn't do this in reverse. Let's see if it'll do it in forwards. I mean, this is tight. I mean, most people would be cringing pulling into a garage this tight, driving themselves. So I can't imagine. Like, it's heading directly for the can right now. It needs to pull very strong to the left or it's gonna hit the can. What's it gonna do? It's gonna do nothing. It's not even gonna try to correct. Let's give that one more try here. So what I'm gonna do this time is I'm gonna line it up a little more to the left. So it's hugging that left side a little bit more and even a little bit closer to the destination here. Okay, and we're gonna give this a try. So right away it wants to steer to the right because it sees the side of that garage. And here's maybe part of the reason is that that garbage can is actually about 1.5 feet further back than the side of the garage. And that may be it. So let's try fixing that and trying this again. All right, now this time it is perfectly lined up. They have equal distance apart. Let's see if it actually can keep itself centered or if it's gonna keep steering away from the driver's side. And it isn't, it's actually going straight in this time. Come on, baby, you got this. Making lots of noise, steering away from the garbage can a little bit, finds itself too close to the driver's side, and it's gonna kill it. All right, so 8 feet is just a little bit too much for it. All right, so now we know 8 feet is just too narrow for this car to auto park itself in. So if you look at your garage and it's 8 feet, chances are it's not gonna happen. 8.5 feet did work because about 6 inches is all I moved this garbage can this last time, and it had done it before. It slowed down, it didn't go in very straight from a long distance, short distance, it was just fine. So it seems like about 8.5 to 9 feet is the ideal kind of minimum range. Anything over that, you're gonna be just fine. Now, let's move on to what will stop this car if not a human. All right, now here's what I expect we're gonna see happen. Anything below this, it's gonna run right over. Anything above this, it's gonna stop. What I don't know is how skinny something has to be to stop it. And will it detect weird kind of shapes? So we've got the 360 camera right here. We're gonna watch and we're gonna see. For this worst one, I'm gonna kick this into the middle and we're gonna see what it does if it were run over that. It's about 2 inches off the ground. It is landscaping pipe and obviously it ran over it with no problem because it was too low, which we're not 100% worried about that. There's nothing necessarily wrong with running over a small stick on the road. Okay, on this next one, we're gonna put the strider down, you know, down here sideways like your kid would leave it. You could stand it up and make the car easily stop for it, but that's just not realistic. A kid's gonna leave it like this in your garage. So let's try this out. So right off the bat, the car does start doing a little bit of swerving. Come in at it. It's slowing down, no. So I stopped that myself again, so it cannot detect a bike that small. Let's put a bigger bike down. So in this one, I do suspect it will see it and it will stop. It is high enough above the sensor height. I do believe this will stop it. It's just, will it stop before it goes over the wheels? And yes. No. It wanted to stop and then it just kind of went. So I'm not 100% sure what just happened there. It looked like we were going to get a clean stop, but then it didn't. So now what if your kid did have it on a kickstand? Would it stop? Now, none of my bikes that we have kickstands, so I'll just stand it up like this, assuming the kid did come in and do what they're supposed to do, which good luck if your kids do with their bikes, and it stopped right here. That would be pretty cool if this actually worked. Now, go backwards. So we're massively swerving, trying to go around it. It's not gonna happen. Lots of dinging in the car, and it kills it. All right, so bikes are fine. So pretty much what it's gonna come down to is anything tall. But what about skinny? Let's try skinny. All right, now for this one, we're gonna try the skinny baseball bat and the shoe trick. You know what I'm talking about. We're gonna see if this thing will actually stop. It's tall, it's over the sensors, but is it too narrow? Lots of dinging. It is not too narrow. It's still not giving up. There it goes. Wow, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised. It didn't even come close. That was actually a very, very good test. Let's move it now to a little bit to the side and see if that makes any kind of a difference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it, don't fall over, Bat, about right there, and we'll give this thing a test. Hear the dinging, and it's gonna stop. So what does all of this tell us? Why would you even use this feature? Have I ever actually used this feature when I wasn't making a video? Yes.
There was this one time I showed off for my neighbor and I did it. For most people, this is going to be something that is a parlor trick. It's not something that's actually functional. It's easier to just drive straight into your garage, get out, and go into your house in almost every scenario. What I think this represents is the future of what this car is going to be capable of, being able to pull into parking spots on its own and be able to, park itself while you're in the mall. It's going to be able to send it in more ways than just straight, up to 40 feet, but instead send it out to a parking structure somewhere to go and park itself. I think this is just kind of getting ready for that. The fact that it can do this in your own garage means that, assuming it can get to a spot somewhere else without you in the car, it could do it there as well. And I think this is just a representation and a step towards that. I don't know of anybody who's actually used this regularly, and I would be very curious to talk to any of you who do. So if you do use this auto park, auto drive in your garage while you're not in the car feature, write down in the comments below and tell us what you use it for and why. But it is a very cool trick. It can be done. It does stop itself from hitting stuff. It does make you a little nervous sometimes, like on that reverse from 40 feet on an 8-foot wide, try, or 8.5 feet wide try. That was a little bit close, getting 4 feet down here. But overall, it did really well. So I think we covered everything: how to turn it on, how sensitive are the sensors, can it hit anything, how wide does the garage have to be. Can't think of much else. I will just jump in here real quick and post, because I did think of one thing, and that is, does it come into the garage if it's a little bit crooked? I didn't make a video about that because I already knew the answer. I didn't even think to put it in the video, but you actually cannot. It's got to be pretty much dead straight. If it's even tilted a little bit, it's not going to do it. It has to be lined up like you're driving straight into the garage yourself, the same direction you would already be doing it. Exit the car, let it finish it. It's not going to drive into the garage. So again, it has to be straight. Oh, there is one last thing. One of you guys asked me if I would create a kind of mock bumper or speed bump on the ground that this would be being summoned over. This would be a good example, maybe in a parking lot or something like that, where I had to deal with one of these things. And how does it deal with it now? So how we're going to do this is with a whole bunch of towels, but don't tell my wife. They're just going to get folded and put right back. All right, now here's what I've done here is I have put down 2 different towels in a way that'd be a fairly aggressive speed bump. And what I'm going to see happen here is it's probably just going to push the towels or run right over them. But this is a decent representation of it, and you can see just exactly how high they are, about the same that you would see on your average speed bump, about 4 inches off the ground in center. So next I'm going to summon the car forward. So there's the speed bumps. And we're over top. And you can see it comes right up to that set distance, no problem. So now most of you guys are watching these videos because you're Tesla fanatics like me, huge fanboys, and it's just fun to see what these things can do, even though they're not really all that practical. So I hope you found this a little bit informative if you're curious about this feature. And if you have more questions about it that I didn't cover in this video, leave it down in the description below. But I think we did a pretty good job breaking down what this can do. In my previous video, we talked about how to do it and what it is. This time we really broke it down so you could actually use it. If there's another video you guys would like me to make a video on, a how-to or anything, make sure you put it down in the description below, no matter how silly or small it may seem, and I'll make a video on it for you. Thanks for watching again. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.